So yeah, it's gonna be I was gonna say hunger for all. Give me freedom or give me death, right? I feel like things are gonna have to die, right? And I'm not gonna say that's people. I'm saying like these old structures, these old belief systems that the many can be sacrificed for the success of a few. That's gonna die. Judgment will be called on those people. The people themselves will call judgment because they're starting to recognize that a more peaceful world, a more just world, a more free world is possible for all, not just for the few. But in order to do that, we have to let go of these. Sorry, the little. My phone's about to die, so the fucking little notification came up. But yeah, we have to let go of these things that have been dragging us down. And I think again, if you just think about that whole thing about what was it when they like threw all the tea into the river, into the water. I forgot what it was called, and it no historically like the event. I should know that, but it's not coming to mind right now. But with the teacups, again, like it points to like aristocrats, right? Like the rich, the elite, and how everything lives. People are treated as trivial, right? They're treated as less than. And in this time, there is going to be a great reckoning where people will. Well, the world is kind of coming back into balance. Moving to a place where it is sustainable. Where it's less barren, right? Where it's fruitful for everybody. And I get that too because the next card was Daughter of Discs. But if you look at her, I'm really drawn to this over here in the corner. I don't know if you guys see that. It almost reminds me of like a windmill. Or like a metallic fly. I don't know. But with one hand, she's holding a key, right? Touching the earth. And the other hand, she's like reaching up to the skies. Getting this insight. On how to move forward. And she also has like little horns that remind me of like I don't know if it's a ram or a goat, a bull. But she's in this barren place, like it's a desert. And she's standing there naked, right? Completely vulnerable, but she seems so in control. Because she has the key. So I feel like that's gonna start happening to a lot of people. I don't know how or when or where or who is gonna be waking up to themselves and getting like a deeper connection to spirituality, to humanity, to all life. But I'm from what I'm seeing, like it's going to happen if it's not already. Where you're gonna be very rooted to not only the earth and the keys and the truths that come from being grounded, but also the insights and the almost like unbelievable intuition that's kind of like, because this little sphere is like kind of going directly almost like to where her third eye would be, right? So it's this knowing that's given to you by the grace of God, right? And it's what's gonna lead us out of this barren place. Because there used to be this almost, I got the Seven of Cups, and upright it means almost like this dreaminess, but it's upside down. It's almost like there was a blockage here before where what's meant to free you, right, is almost depicted as something that's not real or something that's another illusion, right? The woo woo or whatever, right? But really, there's a really big releasing of this now, where it's almost like so many things in this world that have been framed as truth, right? Distorted into being seen as the truth, have been almost like deplatformed right now, debunked, right? So it's almost like, why would the people that want to keep you obedient, right, and want to keep you docile, why would they give you the answer that would free you? Like, they wouldn't do that, right? They would try to discredit it as much as possible. And I feel like there's a feeling right now where for some time now there's been a lack of spirituality in this world, a lack of connection to the divine, to God, to sacredness. And you can see that by like the direct opposite of how much everything's been turned into an object, right? A really big saturation of like the materialism, to the point where we're even treating people like materials and objects, right? And a lack of anything sacred. And I feel like that's where this reckoning is coming back, where we can be this earth that's covered with a rainbow, but it has to come from our hearts, right? It has to come from not the ego. Because the mind can be tricked very easily, but the heart has this inner knowing that often leads the mind, right? And there's this like release of this blockages of viewing that as something silly, something that couldn't be true. But before, when the world was more sacred, it was, like it was true, and we did have rituals, and we did have things that were sacred, and we did view God and source or the universe, or we viewed all of that as part of our daily lives, not looking for salvation, right? But seeing life as sacred in each one of us, in everything, and treating life as sacred instead of everything being disposable, right? I can buy anything. You can't buy everything, right? There's things that are unseen, authorities, spiritual authorities that are unseen, that you can't buy, you can't fake. And if people have been faking it, you can only fake it for so long, right? And there's been that release of punishing yourself, of denying yourself that spirituality, that connection to the divine, to source. Because now we have the Ace of Cups. That's like self-pleasure, self-love. So it's almost now to a point where you're letting yourself dive into that world. Everyone is allowing themselves to maybe have hope and have faith in something beyond themselves, because what we have right now, what we've had faith in, this material world, has let us down over and over again, right? So it's kind of like you have to look beyond, and you have to trust what your heart's telling you, what your intuition's telling you. Just stop denying yourself care, pleasure, depth.